So here is my learning pit, and when you click on the link, you'll get a forced copy of this Google slide. And you can decide how you want to do this. You can use a Bitmoji, which I added the extension, and then looked for different Bitmojis that might match up with where I was on the learning pit at different times. Or you can also insert a picture, upload a picture of yourself. So if I wanted to, I could insert an image, upload from my computer, and if I had a picture of myself, I could use that to march around the pit. You can also use the images and shapes that are in Google. So if you wanted to put, let's say I wanted to use Princess Zelda as my image, I could bring that over to stick with our video game theme. I could also decide I just wanted to use some shapes. So if I click up here, maybe I'm just going to use a circle. So when I'm here, and then you can move your circle and just use that to represent yourself. Or you can even use different shapes to make yourself a stick figure. Whatever you use, you could also add in some text. So let's say I want my students to see, all right, this is when I start learning. Like, I'm starting deeper learning. I feel pumped and ready to go. And you can format that text so it's easier to read. And then as you go, you can add more text boxes to match up to explain how you're feeling or thinking at each point in the learning pit. And you could also use that to talk about how you get yourself out of the pit, if you want to talk about some strategies for that. If you wanted to, you could save this once you do it. So I used one and I put multiple images so that I could walk my students through my process for my learning pit. This one has even more stops. So I can save that as an image and then use something like ThingLink. And so here is a ThingLink I made that I'll include in our course too. So anywhere there's a magnifying glass, you can click for some more information. So the learning pit, the title links to the source where I got this image and some information. There's tons of resources on that website. And then I can click on each spot in the learning curve with my Bitmoji and see an explanation of where I am at that point. So at the beginning, my Bitmoji says, "You got it." And I say, "I'm feeling ready." Right before deep learning starts, I feel excited and confident. And then that confidence continues. I'm running downhill. Here I go. At the beginning of learning something new, I dig right in and I get right to the action. Then here's my Bitmoji getting punched in the face. So the first point at which I'm challenged feels kind of like a shock or a slap in the face. I was so sure of myself, and then bam, all of a sudden, I'm not sure I know what I'm doing. And I'm starting to question some things. Then as the challenge and the struggle continues, I start to doubt myself and become disappointed. It really affects my self-image and how I start to wonder if I'm even good at anything. I get a little bit depressed and confused. I get super frustrated. I'm not very kind to myself at this point. I might start calling myself names or telling myself some negative self-talk. Like, "God, this is stupid. Why can't you figure this out?" That kind of stuff starts to come up the more I am challenged. And then I'm in the bottom of the pit. It's more like a despair or a fear, like I might never figure this out. And then it starts to turn into like, maybe I should just give up. So this is where I usually become really distracted and unmotivated, sort of run out of hope. Like I said, I kind of want to give up, throw my hands up. And I'll notice that I do a lot of task avoidance here. So I'll start doing a different task or cleaning, or I'll want to make some art. Anything to get me away from the task that I really have to do or the learning that needs to happen. So I kind of have to struggle here for a bit, usually before I will reach out for help. And then once I finally reach out for help, I start to either somebody helps me through it or a resource helps me realize like there's a light at the end of the tunnel. I can start to see progress even if it is slow. I'm dragging my snail shell, which gets me into my thinking brain where I can ask for some help in a more logical way. I can advocate for the needs that I know I have. So I can better get resources or support for myself at this point, because I'm starting to move out of that pit and I feel a little more positive and I'm getting a little bit of my confidence back. And then help arrives. I get the help I need to give me a boost. I start to really notice some comprehension and I feel motivated and encouraged. My energy's back up and I remember that learning is fun again. I feel seen, especially if a teacher or coach has helped me along, make that ascension out of the pit. And some of that self-doubt has kind of slipped away. And then the last part, I'm climbing out because I have equipped myself with some skills and some resources to be able to get myself out of this pit. So I don't want the coach or teacher to carry me out of the pit all the way. I just needed a little boost. And then I also needed maybe somebody to point out to me that I can do this and I am doing this. And I feel stronger with each step or pull on that rope. Every rung of the ladder I climb out of the pit gives me a little boost of confidence and some excitement and some energy. So I'm feeling really good about the deep learning that I have engaged in. And then when I'm out of the pit, I'm thinking I did it. I feel so proud. I got another boost of confidence. I feel inspired to share my learning. And this is where I'm like, ooh, let me show you this thing I learned. And I forgot that I felt like I was in quicksand at the bottom of the pit. All I feel now is joy and excitement, and I want to share my learning with others. And that also leads to this idea that, yeah, like learning is so fun. I'm a lifelong learner. I want to keep doing this. And each time I learn, each time I go into some more deep learning, and maybe I go in this learning pit again, I can fall back on some skills and some experience from the previous learning pit. And so I develop more and more strategies to get myself out of the pit. And sometimes I can move through the pit really quickly. It feels less hopeless because I've done it before and I know how to get out and I know it will work out. So it's really good. It's really good practice for my brain to really notice this learning pit and the different states that I can be in and where I tend to go in terms of like my thinking and my feeling at different points in this learning pit, so that I can recognize where I am and I can appreciate that process. So that's a little bit of a learning pit model, and you can take this and make it your own. You can take it and make copies and use it with your students. And you can also do something totally different if you want to. It's awesome. Thank you.